there's also the kind of people, and I'll call them the people with environmental and social concerns. I will call them the tree huggers, or that would not be appropriate. But that have observed increasingly that we may be running into a number of challenges in the world from the viewpoint of natural resources and finite resources and the like. And so if you can study these charts later, but I think there's a few key points. First, the world's population now is at about 7 billion, and it's projected to go to about 9 billion by the year 2050, and a lot of that growth is occurring in developing countries. And with that comes the development of more and more people with higher expectations of rising living standards, people who want move into houses and have furniture and electronics and all of that kind of things, and cars, and that all puts a strain on a lot of the world's basic resources. And so, you see the bottom set of charts there that talk about CO2 levels, greenhouse gas emissions continuing to rise quite significantly. You see about water stress levels. I think it's been estimated that even today, over 1 billion people currently, in the world's population of 7 billion, currently do not have ready access to drinkable water. And that seems like it's getting worse. And then depending on which resource you choose, it looks like those are going to be under stress too. That more and more of that are going to become scarce supply and the like. And so, I think some of these people would say, this is a very major planetary issue and issue for mankind. They would say also that from the viewpoint of sustainability of companies and their business models, if your business model, for example, relies heavily on access to water, and water is going to be kind of a constrained resource, then that could be a real issue. And some of those sustainability issues need to become much more not only transparent to investors, but also embedded in the corporate thinking about how they, for the long term, run their corporations. There's a lot of people too, and the IRC does have corporate representatives as well that can't help but observe that reporting requirements, the formal reporting requirements, have mushroomed over the last 20, 30 years. So here you see from the UK's Prudential's annual report, the front end being not the financial statements and the like, the back end being the financial statement. But you see like 400 pages, and in fact, I think HSBC's annual report is something like 800 pages, and yet, and so there's an awful lot of reporting and a lot of reporting required by standard setters, securities regulators, stock exchanges, and the like, but it doesn't, it's only a finite part of what seems to matter in terms of both investors assessing the company and in terms of what really drives the value and performance of companies. So different strands coming together and basically kind of looking at kind of how did we get here to where we are. And this is not, in my view, meant to be a damnation of current reporting. And I've been quite vocal, maybe because I have been a standard setter and the like, is saying it doesn't, it doesn't do a lot of good to huff and puff and kind of say we've been, over-engineering and focusing solely on a very small sliver of what really matters. Because in the end, certainly from a company's point of view, the financial performance does matter. There's no doubt about it. Financial performance does matter. But if you look at the evolution, so we go back to 1960, companies had financial statements, and they might have been sometimes only a handful of pages long. You go to 1980, by then the financial statements had grown in length. The securities regulators had added on a management commentary, very useful. We saw the beginnings of some reporting on environmental type issues and beginnings of some reporting on governance and compensation. We then flash forward to the year 2000, and each of those separate strands had grown. But you can see they're not interconnected, really. There may be some interconnections between management commentary and the financial statements, but what you saw in the sustainability area, you saw the growth of sustainability reports, separate sustainability reports by companies, separate corporate social reports by companies, and a lot more information on the governance and on executive and director remuneration. What's envisaged by 2020 under integrated reporting is to have all these pieces kind of come together. So, observing these various things, the IRC has concluded that something needs to be done. We ought to do it as best we can on a coordinated international basis so that you don't have to get the kind of convergence efforts that have gone on in other realms of reporting. It'd be better to kind of invent it from scratch on an international basis. That I think there's a belief that if it was done right, it could provide a number of benefits and advantages to all the players in the financial reporting, corporate reporting supply chain. And we'll talk about a little bit about that. Now, the IRC does not propose to take over the work of securities regulators or standard setters. It has, I think, appropriately kind of brought them into the tent under the rubric of the IRC. So I first got involved in this in the initial meeting of the IRC by virtue of being the chairman of the FASB at that time. They invited our institution to participate and at a high level, and so that seemed appropriate. And similarly, as Chris mentioned, the current chair of the Executive Committee of IOSCO is a member. There's a representative from the Financial Stability Board. The chair of the IASB is on that, and the like. And by the way, one of the points of potential interest here in Canada, among others, is that the International Accounting Standards Board, the IASB, a few months back, put out a consultation document on its agenda. What should its agenda focus on in the next 3 to 5 years? And part of what they laid out and asked is, to what extent should this integrated reporting initiative influence their agenda? And since here in Canada, you now, for your listed companies, use IFRS, this is a matter of relevance to you.